Chapter 16. The Doctor knew what was happening. Reverse-dimensional retro-closure. The lightning was in the distance. Bad Wolf Bay was dark in the corners. It was always dark in the darling UIV Strandon. Never rained, though. And yet, sun setting. Here it was. Drizzle to start, going to get worse. The cliff face was ancient as it stared at him. Yet, somehow, now seemed impermanent. He didn't notice rain coming down. He gripped the new memories, steadied himself, painful, but he felt the coin in his pocket. Why were these memories here? Valentine mesmerized local light, warped it to disguise himself. He strode through the crowd as a nobody and handed the stranger in white a coin. A brand new coin, 2014. What did that have to do with a girl shot dead? The stranger in white gave the girl the coin. Somehow, she ended up in Temporal Nexus Point Earth and New York in the distant past. Killed by an X-8. By a Cyberman Dalek hybrid. A monstrosity created by the Doctor's assistant, Jack. Yet, in the past, Valentine would never have heard about the murder, or investigated it, leading to his finding of the Eighth Doctor, let alone committed the atrocity, if the Doctor would not have been there in the first place. The Doctor remembered being trapped, imprisoned, his Victorian 18th century self, drained and constricted of hundreds of years of Artron energy. There was the chrono-tyrant sorcerer, called Jack Valentine, with his head of the Time Lords, the War Chief, the Warlords, some members of the Deca. He fought alongside the Eighth Doctor and the Shadowhunter. The first day of the Time War, Shadowhunter became evil, trapped in the paradox white void as Chance, the master of the land of fiction. Question: was this real? Question: what happened to Lady Romana? Had she annexed the land of fiction? Her last act as true Democrat ruler of Gallifrey, the first day of the Time War, before Razalin emerged. The Doctor had a moment of clarity, staring at the Sidrat chambers. Valentine's stolen Time Lord rod, one of the emissary rods of eternity, entrusted to the President of Gallifrey. Sidrats did not function well. Ultimately, the design was abandoned. They were too much work for too little, too short a range for too much of a power drain. This thought applied to Valentine's victories. This serial-killing sicko's head counts. Ramona clearly wasn't in the winner's circle of the psychotic Time Tinker's so-called trophies of Time Lords, nor was Rosalind or Omega, or any other true powerful Time Lord. No, Ran, not even a meddling monk, certainly no Shadowhunter. Valentine had scavenged the weak, the mad, the unstable. Valentine was gathering and amassing power from the corrupt, the viciously resourceful, admittedly formidable, unfortunately, and rather obviously, the ones that burned out, ineffective due to the fact that they were overly elaborate, self-obsessed. Therefore, most parts of their covening was ridiculous, unnecessary, and ineffective. It was negative energy, paradox vitality, feeding on itself, an infinite loop, an 8. His existence at the time was a snake eating its own tail, or a Schrodinger's cat. No, not a Schrodinger's cat. Forget I said Schrodinger's cat. Think sideways 8. The Doctor felt the coin was able to divest himself of the random thoughts. Backward temporal shift consciousness. He would unplug if he wanted to. The meta-crisis hybrid Doctor identified and recalibrated. At least he wasn't the real Doctor. At once the intense thoughts stopped. When had it started to rain? Clouds loomed. Attracted, it seemed, by the events unfolding. The Doctor ran his fingers through his hair, wiping away the wet and dark. Bad Wolf Bay was pouring steadily. No tides on this grim beach, just storms and thunder past the darkness. Back when he traveled in a TARDIS, the Doctor remembered the sound it made, a mechanical groaning and wheezing. It was heavy, clunky, cumbersome, lumbered. Many thought it spooky or weird. Occasionally, though, randomly, it would get a very strong lock, make a lovely melody right as it disappeared. A truly enchanting sound. Artificial, but beautiful. The exact second it vanished. He held up a hand to where a shape, a column, was warping into existence. Shielded his eyes, it was having trouble solidifying. A lightning bolt struck it. Not long, and there were a couple of aftershock bolts which snaked around the gray beach. And the doctor heard that sound now. The sound of perfect, a time capsule. The Roman pillar became real with a fading angelic chorus, and a static shredding sound. A heavy thud followed. Harmless lightning danced on the endless sand. More thunder. The doctor put his hands in his blue pinstripe suit. Allons-y. Jade finished her veggie pizza, wiped her mouth with a napkin, and closed the pink hollow projections. She strolled into Purge's main control room as she sipped her almond milk. Jade set down the beverage, tossed the mirror back into the podium. Traveler was polishing his favorite chrome lever. Slid it forward. Jade announced,
"This is all a Mongolian cluster."
Wait. Traveler held up a single finger, pointed it at his dragon, then snapped his fingers. Cornelius was sitting in a chair in a foyer nearby, with a headset on, pressing buttons. Oh, please. She adjusted the watch necklace.
"Frantz, do you know about New York? Why,
Jade was about to continue, ask about the doctor, the land of fiction. Her thoughts were interrupted as Purge materialized. Jade felt the slam heavier than normal, a deeper impact on landing. This was a tough place to settle, apparently. Traveler disappeared through the wall. Jade grabbed an umbrella. She followed. Outside, it was raining, storming in darling ULV, Strandon. She clutched her jacket closer and stepped briskly toward two time travelers. They stood in the rain, peering at each other. "Social call." The man in the skinny blue suit smiled. He was drenched. "Who are you, then?"
"Kepa Zila Onik Viz Oryx Traveler,"
said the stranger in white. "A nice tortoise," the slender and mawed fellow in blue remarked. Traveler wiped rain from his brow, looked back.
"Not a TARDIS, a time capsule."
"Oh, really?"
"Yes, really. It's an independent embodiment of time and relative dimension in space. And EOTARDIS if you want to waste time with acronyms."
Well, look at the oil mechanic explaining the vehicle to the race car driver." The doctor strode through the thunderstorm to Purge. He put his hand on the column. Jade followed, hunkered under her umbrella, lightning in the far distance. Traveler stepped after the doctor. He cocked his head to one side.
"Strange."
"What?
Jade asked.
Are you two seriously not noticing the damn downpour out here?"
The doctor peered at them, his palm on Purge. "I doubt your temporal engineer here has traversed the transverse dimension relay to discuss the weather." Traveler stared at the white column, then looked over to Jade.
"Not wrong. And..."
He sighed.
"Don't believe I've ever witnessed Purge so interested in having someone come inside her."
Jade laughed hard. "Oh, Zilly." The doctor in blue gently slapped Traveler's face as he stepped into the Doric column. "Just adorable. Right then," the doctor announced as he boarded Perfect. Traveler entered behind, followed by Jade. Cornelius stopped typing on the computer terminal, waved. Purge brightened significantly as the meta-hybrid doctor wandered into the massive white and chrome epicenter. The skinny man in blue made a strange face and waved, then stopped himself, shook his head. He confidently bounded over to Purge's control console, pressed buttons.
"Now."
Traveler held up a hand. He was leery.
"Hold on. What are you doing?"
"Explanation," was all the doctor said. Purge's octagonal screen detached from the wall, floated to the center of the room.
"Right,"
Traveler said, folded his arms as he glanced at his companion.
"I don't want you to explore and learn. Jade, I want you to watch TV."
Doctor cocked his head back. "Oi! Shut it!" Traveler smiled, throwing his arms up dismissively. Jade opened a bag of gummy bears and peered at the screen. The doctor was in the interior of another time machine. The doctor's TARDIS. A Model 40 TT. An antique. Unreliable. It was in the process of melting, being destroyed. Jade saw the doctor, Rose, and an extremely attractive time agent named Captain Jack Harkins, standing in prisons made of light in front of a monstrous compodium of Daleks. Whatever those were. The doctor's blue box was ejected and fell over 700 miles down a steel shaft. It was deposited into a burning neutrino core. It was dissolved, being burned alive. A large red Dalek, all bubbles and hatred, was screaming at the doctor, and Jack and Rose.
You are connected to the TARDIS. Now feel it die.
There was a woman trapped in the TARDIS as well. They were burning together. Her name was Donna. Yet, Jade was struck by the similarity of the circumstances of her phone call. Donna stared at a hand in a jar, a hand that was glowing with amber rift energy. She was drawn to the hand, touched it, and it exploded outward with yellow hazy waves of light. It spilled on the ground, laid on the grille floor of the TARDIS. The hand became brighter, then energy exploded out, creating an entire outline of a man. Grew from the hand. A whole new creature. The amber electricity subsided, and there sat the doctor.
It's you!
Donna gasped. Why, yes! The doctor responded.
You're naked!
Oh, yes. He nodded with enthusiasm, confident. Power surged through his body.
Total TARDIS destruction in 10 rails.
A Dalek intoned in the distance. Jade hated the sound they made. The Meta-Crisis hybrid doctor disappeared in the melting TARDIS, dematerializing at the last moment, saving himself, the ship, and Donna. The Daleks did not know this. One rotated its view stick at the Time Lord.
The TARDIS has been destroyed!
The real doctor, Rose, and Captain Jack stood in stunned silence.
Now tell me, Doctor, what do you feel?
The doctor gritted his teeth as the Dalek continued to prod him.
Anger, sorrow, despair.
The tired time traveler nodded. Rose closed her eyes.
Then, if these emotions are so important, surely we have enhanced you.
The skinny man in blue flipped a switch. The screen turned white and floated off. He spun, turned to face Jade and Traveler. So, that's me. Now then. The doctor folded his arms. You lot, Zeely, and Dragon Tattoo, what's your story?